Okay, AJ, how much do I actually need before I invest in an Airbnb property? Do I need $5,000, $30,000, or $100,000 to start an Airbnb business? Well, in this video, I'm gonna go through all of the different costs that you need to think about before you invest in your first Airbnb. Hey, just a quick interruption. I just wanted to thank every single person who has subscribed to the channel. We just passed 200 subscribers, which is absolutely mind-blowing. Thank you for your likes and all of your comments. Let's get back to the video. So in previous videos, I've shown you how to find a great Airbnb market, evaluate different properties, all using free tools. But today I'd like to take a different approach. Today I want to talk through all those little costs that you need to be aware of before you invest. So because we want to run this like a business, I really suggest that you first get your LLC before you do anything else. The reason for this is it gives you a little bit of separation if something were to happen at your Airbnb. Once we have our LLC set up, the next piece is how much house can I actually purchase? Now this is mostly determined by your lender. If the lender approves you for $1.5 million, I don't necessarily suggest that you go out and purchase a $1.5 million property. I suggest taking it slow, getting your processes down, and then scaling from there. So in today's example, let's say that I am looking at a 2-bedroom, 2-bath house that costs $350,000. Now, down payment, in cases where you're purchasing a vacation rental that you're gonna be using part-time, that will allow you to pay 10% down. So I would need to have at least $35,000. Now, the next expense when purchasing a property are things like closing costs. And closing costs usually run you between 3 and 5% of the cost of the property. So let's go in the middle and say that we have a closing cost of about 4%. So that would be about $14,000 that we would need in order to close on the property. Now those closing costs are made up of a couple of different things. Those are inclusive of title insurance, attorney fees, appraisals, and taxes, among other things. One thing to point out is that if you get lucky and you're able to find a seller who is willing to pay some of your closing costs, that's fantastic. So you can actually get this reduced. Now, that usually doesn't happen, especially in today's world where it truly is a seller's market. Okay, so now we've got our business set up. We understand how much cash it's going to take for us to close. The next thing that we want to think about would be how much is it going to cost us to furnish this place? Now, sometimes you get lucky and furnishing is already included within the purchase price. Those are the types of properties that I like to look for, but that's not always the case. Now, obviously, when you're thinking about furnishings, there's lots of those large pieces that you need to take into account: tables, chairs, couches, beds, things like that. But there are also other small things that you want to take into account as well. That could be pots and pans, silverware, towels, and linens. So for a 2-bedroom, 2-bath home, I would say that anywhere from $12,000 to $15,000 should be enough for us to furnish the place. So again, let's go right in the middle and say it's $13,500 that we're gonna spend on furnishing. And then finally, as we're thinking about getting our listing ready, one key thing that we need to make sure that we're including would be how much is it going to cost for us to get professional Airbnb photos. You need professional photos if you're going to be successful on Airbnb. Taking a picture with your cell phone is not going to cut it anymore. So let's say that it's going to cost us $1,000 to get really spectacular professional photos of our place done. So let's start to add this up. $35,000 for the down payment, $14,000 for the closing costs, $13,500 for the furnishings, and $1,000 for the photography. And now you're at about $63,000 in total.
Oh my God!
So $63,000 is a ton of money. But one thing that we want to take into account is that if we're able to save that amount of money, we've done our research, and we know what the numbers are, it can be a really fantastic investment. And again, this is purely an example. There are better deals out there than what I have listed here today. And if you're doing your due diligence, you will be able to find them. Now, one thing that I always suggest is that don't spend more than what you're willing to lose. Now, I can tell you from my personal experience, this has definitely paid off, these types of large investments. But again, I did all of the background work before I ever thought about putting any money down. Now this list isn't totally complete. It is more of an overview just so you can kind of get an estimate of how much you need to save before looking to purchase your first Airbnb. I'd love to hear what other costs you think we should include as we're looking at short-term rental properties. Let me know in the comments. But before you go, here's another video I think you're going to like.